we've spent, a year and a little over a year in this 5 to 10 range, if you will. Here we are at 7, let's call it. But what I like is this volume appearing on the earnings days and then following through. You see the earnings spikes here on the 2 reports ago, and you can just look at this. You see more blue than pink down here. That means it's under accumulation. That's what it means to me, at least. And I don't care if it's a computer or an algorithm or a person. Someone has to program these things, and it's buying no matter how you slice it. Same thing happened on the last earnings report, and this looks like it's basing. The 200-day is still going down, but at a much lesser rate. I think it's going to turn to the upside just eyeballing this. And if you take out 739, which isn't that far away, I think you've got a change in trend, especially if it happens on the volume that I think it will, which is over 150% of average daily volume. So I'm encouraged, and I think this is one of those names that you see. It's the 3D printing of healthcare. Why are we talking about Teladoc? Isn't that Kathy Woodstock that's dead? I think it's being exhumed.
Well, I think so. If we talk about some of the holders list changes, I've always had mixed feelings about holders list changes. First, they're always backward looking, so you don't know what people really are doing unless you subscribe to kind of more expensive real-time changes where especially issuers pay for those to see who's really buying and not. But if we look at the top 10 holders, one of the new ones is or increases is 0.72, sixth largest holder,
Wow.
increased their stake by 36%. All the others are kind of in the mid, not so much, but Allianz. So you have 0.72, a hedge fund. Then you have Allianz, a giant mutual fund or asset fund, group of funds. They increased their stake by 53%. So you only have two declines, one by 1.9%. Vanguard, which is probably index focused, as the largest holder, that went down 2%. Dimensional Fund down 16%, but still in the top 10. But it gets interesting on the next 10 because you have a couple that are they're names that most people aren't familiar with, even if you're an institutionally focused sell side analyst. Monaco Asset Management, Pale Fire Capital, Jupiter Asset Management, folks that sometimes get involved in not so much activists, but turnarounds, actively involved in turnarounds. Not trying to say anything is going to happen there, but Monaco increased their position 100%, so they're the 12th largest holder. Pale Fire 74%, Man Group up 86%, Quantico. These are all names I'm not familiar with, but they're specialist funds. So I like to see American Century there, also 13th or 14th largest holder, increasing their stake. Why are most of these folks now? I could go to the very end and see who's been selling or who's sold out, but in the top 10, it doesn't look like of the top 10 holders. But that is a good point to look at the ones who've sold out. So we have Fuller Ridge, never heard of them before. Union Square, never heard of them. Tang Capital, I have heard of before, and they're very, very smart. Sold out completely this past quarter. He is usually taking activist positions or collaborative positions. So Kevin Tang's really smart guy.
Okay, that's a name from the past.
Yeah, he's had a lot of hits, but maybe I'll reach out to him and see. But I think it's just a missed opportunity. Obviously, it's up another 25% since he's done it. So let's not. Maybe he was early to the second shoe falling, but or second knife falling. But so that's just kind of the holders list. It's also sometimes looking at tea leaves. You never know. There are funds that are super smart in general, but all of them make mistakes, right? So to point at 0.72, which is amazing at what they do, but to say, okay, well, they increased that's the reason it's going to go up. Who knows? They're wrong 48% of the time, or whatever they say they are. So I don't want to hold on to more than what my actual work is. My work seems to show, you know what, things are slowly turning around here. And the new CEO who's been in place for a year and a half seems to have a good handle on it. But don't want to spend too much time on a small cap name, but I thought I'd just update it and take a little mini victory lap. So
Real quick, is BetterHelp being shut down, and is that part of the catalyst, or
no, they're trying to turn it around and slowly, spend a little bit less on it. They won't. I can't imagine they're going to going to shut it down. They could end up selling it or partnering with somebody, but I laid out in my written work that in general there are three things that usually happen in a situation like this. They either turn it around, they sell it, or they partner with somebody, and so they could do one of those three things. And he seemed to be pretty aware of his options, and the trend looks a little bit better. I won't say it looks a lot better, but for that part of the business, the institutional business is doing really well, but the BetterHelp part isn't. So, well, with that,
they were advertising on virtually every podcast that I listened to, and then they went radio silent. So I figured something like you described was going on.
Yeah, it's a really expensive business model, right? To always be paying for influencers to get volume. And so what they've started to move to is an insurance covered model. So people can use insurance. It's not just a cash pay model. And the people who are using insurance now stay longer, and the average pay is a little bit higher, not a lot higher, but a little bit higher. So that helps with your customer acquisition cost.
Hi, I'm David Maris. If you like what you just heard, we've tracked every single pick we make on the show, every ticker, every thesis, every entry price, over 1,100 picks and counting. We put it together in a free report with our top 10 performers, the reasoning behind each one, and a preview of our full dashboard. If you want access, the link is in the description.